Aquaman number 4, written by Jeff Johns, art by Ivan Reis. Where we last left off, Aquaman was making his way down into the trench with Mera, and this issue picks up pretty much right there. This whole thing is spent in the trench. He's going down deeper and deeper. He's got some anglerfish that he's psychically telling, hey, use your light, show us the way. And they make their way down deeper towards some volcanic vents. And as they get down there, they see that while these things may not be intelligent, they do have a giant, what seems to be crashed ship, like possibly extraterrestrial, that's like just rammed down here, and it is like now built into these volcanic vent walls. But when Arthur goes and examines it a bit closer, he sees that the characters on it are from an ancient dialect from Atlantis before it sank. Like, this thing has been down here for centuries, and there's a breach in the hull, so the creatures down in the trench like fed on these ancient Atlanteans. And it raises some mysteries for Aquaman of like, what were the Atlanteans doing in the water? Why were they down here? What were they doing all the way down here? But regardless, they're like, all right, well, the fish are like fleeing despite your telepathic powers now, so we're going to be going down in the absolute dark, so let's just focus on the story at hand, but keep those things locked in the back of your head. So they swim down deeper, and when they get down there, they start thinking like, okay, but like, how could the humans survive this deep? I don't think we're coming back with any people. And I was like, well, who knows? They brought their food down here alive for some reason. They must have thought it would have survived. So here's hoping. And then they see a fish swimming up behind them, but it's not a fish. It's one of their spawn, like a child, but it's like sick and mutated and dying. And they look around and they see the entirety of like their brood. All of their juvenile ones are just floating dead throughout the water, and they're like, this does not bode well. This race is not doing well. And when they finally pass through one more little corridor, they come to the main hive, where it's all the ones they fought, as well as a gargantuan sized one, which is the queen. And Mera recognizes that there's a king and a queen that are talking to each other, the king being the one that was like slash-faced that they fought, and the queen being the mammoth one. And they're like, okay, this is the throne room, and we just kind of walked in. Also, up there on the ceiling are the bubble pods full of people, and they're all okay. They're all still alive. So we just need to get that whole wall up to the surface without any of them stopping us. Okay, here we go. And they just went for it. And they pushed off like this section of the wall that had the things on it, and immediately all of the trenches, like, our food, what the hell, start giving chase. Mera is pushing it up on her own as Aquaman's like trying to give her time and trying to hold them off. And there's like, no, you're taking our food. Our queen needs food for our children. Please, Aquaman, think of our sharp-toothed children. And Aquaman's like, I'm sorry, I wish there was some other way. But then he's like, all right, well, if you're not going to give us back our food, you're going to be our food. And Aquaman turns around and sees the queen is like right there about to attack. And he's like, oh, all right, new plan. And he throws his trident down at a volcanic vent and causes it to explode hot magma all over the queen, effectively killing her. Mera looks down, sees the explosion. She's like, uh-oh, is everything cool down there? Aquaman comes swimming up at Mach speed. And he's like, hey, what are you doing, Arthur? And he goes and there's this overhang over top the trench of just a rock formation. And he goes and he pushes it so as to seal up the trench, basically. He's going to push this giant rock into it so that none of them, like the magma will seal all the cracks and they'll forever be trapped down there. And of course he does it. It happens. And the trench is sealed up and they're like, cool, let's get these people home. But he's effectively doomed and or actively killed an entire race down there, a species down there. So we get the people up top. They're all cracked open. Kid's reunited with his mom, and everyone's all happy. And they're like, hey, Aquaman, I mean, 2 of them are already dead, but everyone else is alive and safe. So good record, you did it. And he's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go now. But then the kid comes up and he's like, Aquaman? Aquaman's like, yes. He's like, you're my favorite hero. And they're all just, oh, that's wonderful. And he flies off, and one of the cops is like, I still don't like him. Jokingly, I assume. So anyway, it's the next day, and Mera and Aquaman are getting all bandaged up, and then it's like, I really didn't want to have to kill an entire species, Mera. And he's like, you did what you had to. Let's just put it in our past. And then the deputy shows up, and he's bringing along the dog from earlier on who took a liking to Aquaman. And I was like, hey, so the owner of this dog was one of the few people who, like, actually died, and this dog needs a home. So you took a liking to him. I was wondering if you would like the dog as a sign of, hey, thanks for saving all of our lives. And she's like, I guess, what's his name? And she's like, he doesn't have a name, or at least I don't know it. Maybe Aquadog? And he's like, Aquadog, are you serious? By the way, he doesn't know how to swim, bye. And they leave off with just this happy scene of Aquaman, Mera, and the dog being like, guess we'll have to teach him how to swim. Womp, 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 womp. Overall, solid. I like how it wrapped up, but it did feel very... I like the moral implications of it. It really took a look at, like, all right, Aquaman has to make the hard choice here. But, like, in terms of build-up, I felt like in any other comic series, it would have been building up to the reveal of the Queen would be, like, the end of the issue, and then the entire next issue would be the taking out the group thing, you know? We would have spent a whole issue of them just, like, getting down there. I'm glad they didn't, because that would have just been unnecessary decompression, but I don't know. Because of just how I've been primed with other comics, it just felt really fast. But I liked how it was done, so I'm not going to hold that against it. I just wanted to bring it up. But overall, I'm going to give this one a 7.5. I really like the moral implications that Aquaman's put through. I think it might be like just a bit too happy, nice of an ending on the surface, but that's my only like half complaint. I barely care about that. The moral implications of him having to kill an entire species, I really do enjoy that sort of gray area. So yeah, 7.5 for Aquaman. I guess as a first arc as a whole, it's been very enjoyable, and I look forward to seeing where we're going next.